Some people think Brexit is now inevitable. I think there's too much at stake to stop fighting. In fact, our future economic prosperity and our young people's future as Europeans. Let's look at three things. First, the Brexit timetable, then the people who are negotiating on Britain's behalf, and finally, what kind of result are we likely to see? First, the timetable. This is the easy part. Article 50 was triggered in March this year, and that means we're out of the EU in March 2019 unless something changes. The EU has said it needs 6 months for the 27 other member states to ratify the deal with their parliaments, so negotiations must be done by October 2018. Mrs May has chosen to spend this first 2 months holding an election. So, the whole negotiation on a large economy, leaving a global powerhouse after 44 years of integration, needs to be done and dusted between the 9th of June 2017 and the 31st of September 2018. 15 months. Fine. Next, the people. Are these people, Mrs May, Mr Davis, Mr Johnson and Dr Fox, up to the job? Do they know what they're doing? I am not convinced. Over this last year, they have floated one incoherent idea after another. Their ideas have gone from staying in the single market without the obligations to reassuring us that it's absolutely fine to leave with no deal at all. Boris Johnson says this would not be, by any means, as apocalyptic as some people pretend. So, full member of the world's largest economic bloc to something short of apocalypse. Okay, so now they are forced to confront the reality that none of their ideas were possible. And what are we likely to see? Mrs May, this bloody tough woman who doesn't want to show her negotiating hand, has already said she doesn't want free movement of people and doesn't like the European Court of Justice. So, no single market, the largest free trade area on the planet, which the UK fought to establish and which is on our doorstep. No customs union, the ability to move goods freely within the EU without duties or customs formalities. So how then will we trade with our largest trading partner, 44% of our trade, after 2019? Even Mrs May now recognises a new trade deal is simply not possible in the timescale. So the options are no deal and we crash out of membership. We fall back on WTO terms. That means tariffs and custom formalities where none exist now. Or a transition agreement to run from exit until we can reach a permanent trade agreement. That will take years, and it probably means that existing arrangements will continue pretty much unchanged, including free movement of people, application of all existing EU laws and standards, and the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. The difference will be that the UK will no longer be part of the EU and so not involved in setting the rules. We will have all the costs and the obligations but no input. So, well done the Brexiteers, that is truly taking back control. Businesses are already anticipating the worst and relocating business units and suppliers to prepare for a hard Brexit, and all that means for jobs and investment. So, well done the Brexiteers, that has really put us back in the driving seat on global trade. And that is just trade with the EU. The EU has free trade agreements with over 50 other countries and a further 60 under negotiation. It accounts for 45% of our trade. The UK will suddenly shift to trading with all of these countries on WTO terms unless we can get them to agree that we can still benefit from the current arrangements with the EU. But why would they do that? We are a market of 60 million people while the EU is 500 million. And even to trade on WTO terms, the UK will have to agree with the 159 other WTO members our set of terms. And with the best will in the world, and why would the 159 other members owe us that? It's a massive task, even if we had the expert negotiators. The EU has done all our trade negotiating for 40 years, and anyone left in the UK who can negotiate at all will be dealing with Brexit between now and 2019. So, well, I'm not sure where that leaves UK trade with the rest of the world. Well done the Brexiteers. That is the reality confronting the UK. It didn't have to be like this. The Conservative government chose this route. You can see why their choices have created an extremely unstable and unpredictable future for many years, well beyond March 2019. And that is why we must all have a final say on whatever deal Mrs May may come up with. And that is why we have to change direction. That is why we must have a strong opposition in Parliament. And every Liberal Democrat vote is for a consistent, principled and challenging opposition.